The morning after Jade's wedding, Charlie was out in his vegetable garden watering the plants when he got a call from Lance Webb. Lance told him the antacid powder they developed from Charlie's formula had just cleared the regulatory agency. It was ready to hit the market. The formula was a powerhouse for common stomach problems. For anyone with chronic issues, the powder offered major relief and a way to manage their condition long term. It didn't matter if it was acid reflux, bloating, stomach pain, or just that awful feeling from drinking too much, getting chilled, or pure exhaustion. The powder brought immediate relief. The original concept for powders like this dated back to a famous doctor in colonial America, but the field of traditional remedies hadn't advanced much in decades. Now, the market was dominated by Canadian and Portuguese pharmaceutical companies. Canada, for instance, had the well-known Halifax's Rapid Relief and Sterling's Quick Soothe powder. Both came in single-serving packets you could mix with warm water for fast relief. Sterling's version was a household name in Canada and a ton of other countries, which just showed how massive the sales and profit margins could be. The powder made from Mystic Scripture's formula was about 8 to 10 times more potent than Sterling's. The effects were dramatic, and the best part? Practically zero side effects. On top of that, it had a clean, fresh herbal scent that was actually pleasant. This powder, which Charlie had named MS Gastrocom, was set to be the first new medicine launched since MS Pharmaceuticals rebranded. The effect of this powder is unbelievable, Lance said, his voice buzzing over the phone. We had a bunch of volunteers with stomach issues tested, and every single one of them gave it rave reviews. It's so much more powerful than the competitors from Canada and Portugal, it's not even a contest. Now they're all practically begging us to get it on the market ASAP. Charlie smiled to himself. So, when can we officially launch and start shipping it out? We've already produced over 50 tons of the powder, Lance said. Now that we have the green light, we can start packaging and selling immediately. Charlie was curious. 50 tons of raw powder. How many boxes does that translate to? We're planning to follow the Canadian specs, Lance explained. 1.3 grams per packet, 48 packets to a box. That's a net weight of 62.4 grams of powder per box, which means we can package a total of 800,000 boxes from this first run. Charlie asked, and the price point? What's the Canadian stuff go for? Halifax's and Sterling's powders both sell for about $150 a box, Lance said. Our MS Gastrocom is several times more effective. I think we should be selling it for at least $400 to $500 a box. And what's our cost per box? Charlie asked. It's mostly just some herbal ingredients, so the cost is actually very low, Lance replied. Honestly, we're looking at about $20 a box. Given that, I'd guess the cost for Halifax's and Sterling's powders is probably down around $10 a box too. Then let's sell ours for $150 a box too, Charlie said. Same price, but ours is several times more effective. We'll crush the competition. You got it, Master, Lance said immediately. I'll let the distributors know. $150 a box. Okay, Charlie said. I want you to crank up production to full capacity. Don't even worry about sales. We're not just aiming for the US market. We're going after Canada, Portugal, and all of Latin America. We're taking the fight straight to their home turf. If we're going to steal their market share, we need to be loaded for bear. Understood, Master. Lance was practically buzzing with excitement. Those herbal supplements have dominated the market for way too long. It's about time we finally fought back. Then Lance asked, by the way, Master, what about advertising for our MS Gastrocom powder? Should we look into some TV commercials? Maybe a celebrity endorsement? Charlie smiled. Yeah, that's a good call. Find the most popular celebrity you can, but make sure they have a squeaky clean reputation. The entertainment industry is a total mess. Don't even consider anyone with a shady past or a lot of baggage. Okay, Master, I actually have the perfect person in mind. I'd love to get your take on it. Oh yeah? Who are you thinking of? Charlie asked. There's this star, Corinne Baxter, but everyone knows her as Clara, Lance explained quickly. She's massive right now. Movies, music, the whole deal. She just landed a huge role in a Hollywood blockbuster, so her popularity is through the roof. Plus, she comes from a really solid family, so there's zero gossip about her. She's the kind of person tons of kids look up to. Charlie nodded. I don't know the first thing about the entertainment industry, and I don't follow celebrities, so I'll trust your judgment. If you think she's a good fit, contact her agency and see what their price is. If it makes sense for us, sign her and get the ads rolling. You got it, Master. After hanging up with Lance, Charlie picked some fresh vegetables from the garden and headed inside to make breakfast for his wife, Claire. It turned out Claire was already awake and coming down the stairs. With the phone call still on his mind, Charlie asked her, Honey, have you ever heard of Clara? Claire's face lit up. Clara? Are you kidding? You don't know who Clara is? She's literally the biggest female star in the country right now. Charlie shook his head. I don't really follow celebrities, so I'm clueless. Seriously? Claire said. She's my idol. Not just mine, she's practically a national treasure. She's an amazing actress, and her voice is incredible. I heard she's coming to Oris Hill for a concert soon. I've been glued to the ticketing site, just waiting for the tickets to drop. Charlie smiled. And I call myself your husband. I had no idea. Well, you never asked, Claire replied. Besides, I don't really talk about that stuff. Liking someone is kind of a personal thing, you know? I don't feel the need to gush about it 24, like some people. Charlie nodded lightly, a thought sparking in his mind. If MS Pharmaceuticals really did end up working with this Clara, he might just be able to help his wife meet her idol. Charlie tied on an apron and headed for the kitchen. Just as he was getting started, his phone rang again. He glanced at the caller ID, a little surprised. It was Skylar, the Knox family's little firecracker. She doesn't usually call me, Charlie thought. Wonder if she's gotten herself into trouble again. With that thought, he answered the phone. Hey, Skylar, what's up? He asked. Skylar sounded a little hesitant on the other end. Mr. Wade, do you remember what I told you about the National Collegiate MMA tournament? Charlie smiled. Of course I remember. I promised I'd come cheer you on, didn't I? You never told me the date, though. A happy laugh came through the phone. Haha, you remember! Oh, I'm so happy, Master. Then her voice dropped, turning shy again. My last preliminary match is this morning. I was just wondering if you had time to come watch. Charlie's curiosity was piqued. The preliminaries? How does the tournament work? Skylar explained. It's a big tournament, so there are a ton of fighters. Just in my weight class, there are dozens of us, so we have to get through a few preliminary rounds. This is the last one before they pick the top 8 for the quarterfinals. Charlie was surprised. Wait, it's already the final elimination round? How many matches have you had? Why didn't you tell me sooner? I've fought 4 matches already, Skylar said quickly. This morning is the last one. If I win, I make it into the top 8. I didn't tell you because I know how busy you are. You said your time was precious and I didn't want to bother you. Charlie chuckled. Don't be silly. He then said warmly, all right, just give me the time and place. I'll be there to cheer you on this morning. Really? Skylar's voice was full of joy. That's awesome! My match is at 10 this morning at the Oris Hill Gymnasium. There will be a bunch of different divisions competing at the same time, so I'm worried you'll have trouble finding me. Just call me when you get there, and I'll have my dad come meet you. Sounds like a plan, Charlie said with a smile. I'll be there. As he was about to hang up, a question popped into his head. By the way, Skylar, what weight class are you competing in? Master, I'm in the 115-pound class, Skylar said quickly. Charlie chuckled. The 115 class, huh? He teased her, a smile in his voice. Don't they say a perfect 10 is under 110? You'd better start cutting weight. Skylar protested immediately. No, that's not how it works. The weight class is the upper limit. It just means you have to weigh less than 1/15th to compete. I'm actually only 109 pounds. See, I'm under 110. If you don't believe me, I'll step on a scale for you next time we meet. Charlie smiled. Hey, I'm just messing with you. Don't get so defensive. I'm not being defensive, Skylar insisted. I just don't want you to get the wrong idea. Being 5'7" and under 110 is really fit. My classmates all say I have a killer body. Charlie laughed. All right, so the feisty Skylar Knox has a killer body, huh? Guess I'll have to see for myself sometime. Skylar said, embarrassed. I'm not some little firecracker. Charlie smiled. Then what are you? Skylar stammered. I'm a beautiful woman. And I'm cute. Before Charlie could get a word in, she shyly hung up. Listening to the dial tone, Charlie shook his head and chuckled to himself. That little firecracker really is pretty cute. After breakfast, Claire left for her studio. It had really taken off lately. She'd even hired a few new employees. With several renovation projects all happening at once, business was booming. Jacob was also keeping busy at the Painting and Calligraphy Association. After he ate, he was antsy to get going, which made Charlie a little curious. He couldn't help but ask, Dad, what's the rush this morning? Jacob grinned. The association has an event today. The calligraphy class from the senior center is coming to visit. Charlie got it the second he heard senior center. That's where Zoe spent her days. A friend of hers had roped her into being a guest lecturer for a French class, but she was also taking calligraphy and painting there herself. It looked like Zoe was going to see Jacob today. No wonder his father-in-law was practically beaming this morning. But with his mother-in-law Elaine sitting right there, Charlie kept his mouth shut. He was heading to the Oris Hill Gymnasium himself later anyway, so he asked his father-in-law, Dad, can you give me a lift? I need to get over to the gymnasium to watch the match. Sure thing, Jacob said with a smile. It's on my way. Come on, Elaine cut in, annoyed. Hello? What about me? Am I just invisible? Jacob asked with a flat expression. What are you talking about? Who's mad at you? Elaine shot back angrily. The second you two finish eating, you just run off to have fun. Do you have any idea how boring it is for me to be stuck here all alone? Jacob scoffed. And who's stopping you from going out? If you want to go out, then go. Go find your old friends to play cards, or call up your girls and go get facials. Elaine snapped, Jacob, are you messing with me? My leg is broken. How am I supposed to go anywhere? Besides, I still have to get my 2 front teeth fixed. Can you imagine how humiliated I'd be if my friends saw me like this? Jacob threw his hands up in surrender. Well, I can't help you with that. I mean, it's your leg. Go out if you want to. If you don't want to, stay home. But you can't stop us from leaving. We're not obligated to stay here and keep you company. With that, he waved to Charlie, jingling the car keys in his hand. Come on, Charlie, he said. Let's roll. Once they were in the car, Jacob was beaming as he pulled away from the curb. Man, I've been waiting for this for so long, he said, grinning. The community adult school is finally doing an exchange with our fine arts society. It took some serious work to set this up, Charlie smiled. So, have you talked to Zoe yet? Not yet, Jacob said, his smile widening. I want it to be a surprise. It's been way too long since I've seen her. Charlie's smile faded as he nodded. Just be careful. You can't let Elaine find out Zoe's back in the country, and she definitely can't know you're seeing her. If she does, this family is going to implode. All hell will break loose. Charlie knew his mother-in-law's personality all too well. Elaine basically had 2 triggers in life, money and Zoe. Jacob asking for a divorce was enough to make her furious, but it wouldn't send her completely over the edge. But if she found out that he and Zoe had not only met up, but were reconnecting, especially while she'd been locked up in the detention center, Elaine would absolutely explode. Hearing Charlie's warning, Jacob nodded grimly. You're right. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's why I've barely dared to contact her at all. He let out a heavy sigh. God, that woman just refuses to let go. She won't sign the divorce papers. It's giving me a massive headache. Charlie just smiled to himself. A miracle is what it would take for Elaine to agree to a divorce. He thought, she had nothing left. There was no way she'd ever willingly let go of the family. Jacob wanting to get rid of her was pure fantasy. When they pulled up to the Oris Hill Gymnasium, Charlie said goodbye to his father-in-law and hopped out of the car. Posters and banners for the MMA championship were plastered all over the entrance. Billed as the most prestigious college-level MMA competition in the world, it had run for over a dozen years straight. But this was the first time it was ever hosted in the United States, and somehow, Oris Hill had lucked out and been chosen as the host city. Though the tournament had been held many times, and the U.S. had sent fighters to compete before, they'd never managed to win a medal. Their best finish was 4th place. Because of that, the American team was pinning all its hopes on finally breaking that streak and winning their first ever medal. And Skylar was one of the team's brightest hopes for a medal. Charlie reached the entrance where spectators were already streaming inside. He pulled out his phone and called Christian to let him know he'd arrived. Christian hurried out to meet him. The moment he saw Charlie, he bowed his head respectfully. Master, thank you so much for coming. I know how busy you are, and I hate to take up your time for my daughter's match. Charlie offered a small smile. Don't worry about it, he said casually. This is a high-level competition. It's an honor for Skylar to represent her country. The least I can do is be here to support her. Christian was ecstatic. This was exactly what he'd been hoping for, a sign that Charlie felt something for his daughter. In his eyes, Charlie was the perfect son-in-law, a once-in-a-lifetime catch. The fact that a man as busy as Charlie was willing to make time to watch his daughter fight, it spoke volumes about how much the master valued her. He quickly gestured for Charlie to follow. Skylar's in the locker room getting ready now. Let's head up to our seats first. The gymnasium was enormous. It was the kind of place with a standard swimming pool, full-sized indoor track, and courts for badminton, table tennis, and basketball. But right now, everything except the swimming pool had been cleared out to make way for the MMA competition. The vast floor had been partitioned into squares, with a fighting ring at the heart of each one. Christian pointed to the rings and explained to Charlie, "See those? There are 8 of them, 1 for each group. The preliminary matches all happen at the same time, and the last fighter standing in each ring moves on to the finals." He then pointed toward the 5th ring. Skylar's been assigned to ring 5. Her fight's up in about 10 minutes. We should head over. Charlie nodded, and they made their way over. More than 100 seats surrounded ring 5, and Christian had already saved them a couple of spots right up front. The second Charlie got there, he spotted a familiar face. Stephen Knox. Stephen had been on lockdown with the family for a while after picking a fight with Charlie and making a huge mess of things. He'd been lying low ever since, but today was his cousin Skylar's, the family's little pepper, big competition, and he had to be there to cheer her on. So Christian had made an exception and let him come. The moment Stephen saw Charlie, any trace of his old arrogance vanished. He shot to his feet, bowing his head. "Master, you made it! Please, have a seat." Charlie eyed him with a curious smile. "Stephen, been a while. How've you been?" Stephen looked embarrassed. "I've just been home, thinking about everything. Honestly, I've been kicking myself every day for being such an idiot. I was so blind, I can't believe I was dumb enough to cross you. You were the bigger man about it, and you still helped the Knox family out of that mess. I really don't know how to thank you." Charlie smiled. "It's been a while, Stephen. Seems like you've grown up a little." "Really?" Stephen grinned, scratching the back of his neck. "If you can see a change, that's all that matters." Christian smacked him on the back of the head. "When you see Mr. Wade in Oris Hill, you be polite and respectful. If I find out you're causing him trouble again, I'll break your legs myself." Stephen nodded emphatically. "Don't worry. From now on, he is my idol. I'll look up to him just like my cousin does." Charlie gave a faint smile. "All right, enough with the ass-kissing. Just stay out of trouble and don't give your uncle another headache." Stephen nodded eagerly. Just then, an announcer's voice boomed over the speakers. "The final preliminary round for all 8 groups is starting now." Stephen immediately got excited, pointing toward an entrance. "That's my cousin. She's coming out now," he said, his voice buzzing with excitement.
Hey there, your no ad pack has expired. Buy a coin pack to keep listening ad-free across all your favorite series.
Just as Stephen was speaking, Charlie's eyes landed on Skylar walking toward the ring. She was wearing a sports bra and athletic shorts that showed off her incredible figure. But what really caught Charlie's eye was the sharp definition of her muscles. He could even make out the faint lines of a six-pack. With a physique like that, she was in a league of her own. Her skin was fair and seemed to glow under the lights, and her long hair was pulled back in a tight ponytail. Wearing a pair of big red boxing gloves, she had a fire in her eyes. Walking out beside her was a young woman. Stephen leaned in, his voice buzzing with excitement. "That's my sister's opponent. She's from Mexico, and they say she's a beast at Krav Maga. Definitely one of the top seeds in the tournament." Charlie chuckled. "Krav Maga isn't something to lose sleep over. It's a decent fighting style, sure, but it's not on the same level as MMA. Your sister can take her." Stephen grinned. "You really know your stuff. I think she's got this too." Christian, sitting beside them, shot Stephen a glare. "Just watch the match and keep your voice down," he muttered. "Don't bother Mr. Wade." Stephen shrank back, confused about what he'd said to set his uncle off. The truth was, Christian was just annoyed that the kid was hogging all of the master's attention. Just then, Skylar, now in the ring, spotted Charlie in the crowd. The fiery determination on her face instantly melted into a shy smile. She gave a little wave with her gloved hand and called out, her voice filled with excitement. "You came!" Charlie nodded and smiled back. "Give it your all out there. I know you'll make it to the quarterfinals." A wave of warmth rushed through Skylar, and she felt her heart soar. Having the man she admired show up to watch her fight, nothing could make her happier. At that moment, she felt like the luckiest woman in the world. The referee then stepped into the center of the ring. Since this was a preliminary match with 7 other bouts happening simultaneously, he didn't waste any time. "Fighters, get ready! Match starts in 30 seconds!" Skylar and her opponent immediately started their final warm-ups, bouncing on the balls of their feet. After 30 seconds, the ref called them to the center of the ring, gave them a quick rundown of the rules, and yelled, "Fight!" The moment the match began, the Mexican fighter lunged, launching a furious attack on Skylar. Charlie could see her opponent had quick hands and was incredibly flexible. The Mexican fighter was almost 4 inches shorter than Skylar, with a stockier build that gave her a much more stable center of gravity. On top of that, she fought smart. She knew her strength was in her legwork, while Skylar's advantage was her upper body reach, so she just kept hammering away at Skylar's legs. Her opponent's relentless flurry of attacks forced Skylar onto the defensive, leaving her little choice but to block. The constant pressure was putting her on the back foot. By the end of the first round, her opponent had landed significantly more effective hits. The Mexican fighter was clearly ahead on points. During the short break, Skylar's coach was in her ear, giving her a quick rundown of tactical advice. A minute later, the bell rang for the second round. Skylar came out swinging, changing her strategy to go on the offensive. She tried attacking her opponent's legs, but the Mexican fighter just met her with the same strategy. The problem was, Skylar's low attacks lacked the power of her opponent's. Her tall, lean frame made her footing less stable, putting her at a clear disadvantage in those exchanges. As the round wore on, Skylar fell further behind on points, the gap widening with every clash. Stephen was shifting in his seat. He leaned over and whispered, "That Mexican fighter just keeps going after my sister's legs. If Skylar can't figure out a way to counter that, she's going to lose this." Charlie cracked a small smile. Not bad, Stephen. You've got a good eye for this. I'm no expert, Stephen said, looking a little embarrassed. Don't mind me, Master. Charlie gave a slight nod, his eyes shifting back to the Mexican fighter. He noticed that while her stance was solid and her kicks were fast, her aggression came at a cost. Defense. Every time she threw a kick, she left herself wide open. When she went low, she was aiming to do real damage, targeting Skylar's calf and ankle. It was a vicious strategy. A solid hit with that much force would make it hard for Skylar to even stand, effectively ending the match. But that was the thing. By aiming so low, she was exposing a fatal flaw. The front of her own shin and knee. Skylar's footing might not be as solid, but she had the advantage of height and reach. When her opponent dropped down for a low kick, Skylar could strike the front of her shin and knee in one swift move. A single well-placed counter like that could completely shut down the Mexican fighter's game plan. So Charlie stood up and walked over to the side of the ring, to Skylar's corner. Skylar was catching her breath on a small stool. Her coach leaned in close. You're fighting on the defensive, and that's not your strong suit. If you want to turn this around, you have to take the fight to her upper body. That's her weakness. Once you establish dominance with your punches, her leg game won't matter. If you dig deep, we can still win back the points in the next 3 rounds. Charlie couldn't help but frown. That's too obvious, he thought. If you think her weakness is her upper body, so does she. She'll see that strategy coming from a mile away. It's like a cop chasing a gunman. You know he's aiming for center mass, so you wear a vest. On the surface, it looked like the Mexican fighter's weakness was her upper body, but she was baiting Skylar, saving her real weapon. Even if Skylar tried to exploit that opening, she'd have a hard time landing a clean shot. But if her opponent connected with just one of those low kicks to the calf or ankle, Skylar would be in real trouble. Her stability would be shot, and she wouldn't have the power to last the remaining rounds. Charlie walked right up to Skylar. Skylar, he said, his voice low and urgent. Forget her upper body. Focus on her legs. While you're dodging her kicks, look for an opening. Use your height and your reach. Go for the spot right on her right kneecap. Her low attacks are fast and powerful, but you can take her out by shattering her foundation. That's how you win this. When Skylar heard Charlie's voice, her face lit up. She looked right at him and cried out, Mr. Wade! Then, looking a little sheepish, she added, I'm sorry. I made a complete mess of things out there. Charlie offered a reassuring smile. It's all right. It's easy to get thrown off your rhythm at first. If you just take a second to read your opponent's strengths and weaknesses, you can find the right strategy to turn this thing around and pull out a win. Skylar nodded eagerly, her voice filled with gratitude. I get it. Thank you for the advice. Just then, the coach standing beside her shot Charlie a dirty look. Who the hell are you trying to call the shots? What do you know about MMA? Skylar's at a critical point here. If she can't turn it around in the 3rd round, she's probably gonna lose. And you're over here feeding her bad advice? Are you trying to get her hurt? Charlie replied calmly. I just told her the truth. Something you're clearly not seeing. If she listens to you, she's going to get her ass handed to her. The Mexican fighter isn't that much stronger or faster. She's just fighting smarter, and that's why Skylar lost the first 2 rounds. If Skylar doesn't get tactical and start outthinking her, this fight is over. The coach was furious. Are you kidding me? I won the National MMA Championship. You think some amateur has anything to teach me? Charlie just smiled. You said it yourself. You won the National Championship. Skylar's here to win the World Championship. Why would you think a national level coach can get her a world title? The coach was fuming, stunned into silence by the insult. He gritted his teeth and rounded on Skylar instead. Skylar, if you listen to this guy and follow his strategy, then I'm done. I'm not your coach anymore. You go back in that ring, you're on your own. Skylar was horrified. She never expected her coach to put her on the spot like this, right in front of Master Charlie. She'd been with the coach for over a year, and he'd always been decent enough. But in her mind, his authority was nothing compared to her master's. If Master Charlie had kept quiet, she would have followed her coach's instructions without a second thought. But now that he'd offered his own advice, she knew she had to follow his strategy. After a moment, she made up her mind. She looked at her coach apologetically and said, Coach, I'm sorry. I'm going with Master Wade's strategy. You, the coach. I thought you were smart, but I guess you just don't get it. You want to trust this amateur? Fine, we're done. With that, he climbed out of the ring. He took a few steps away, then turned back to shout, You know, Skylar, I really thought you had a shot at the top 8, maybe even the podium. But now, you'll be lucky to even make it out of the group stage. He shot a cold look at Charlie and sneered. Nice work, kid. You just tanked a promising career. Charlie just smiled. Really? I see it differently. In fact, I think she has a real shot at winning the whole thing. Are you joking? The coach scoffed. Have you seen the top-seeded fighters in this competition? The number 1 seed, Adeline from Canada, is completely out of Skylar's league. And Eliana, the Brazilian fighter, is way stronger. With my help, Skylar might have had a chance against Eliana. Without me, she won't even win this match. Charlie smiled. Don't worry about them. They don't matter. Skylar's going to beat them both. You've got a big mouth, kid, the coach said with contempt. You really think your 2-bit advice is going to be enough for her to beat Adeline? Charlie nodded. If you don't believe me, stick around and watch. Fine, the coach sneered. I'll be right here. Can't wait to watch Skylar choke. With that, he walked straight to the audience section, found an empty seat, and sat down. He crossed his arms over his chest, settling in like he had a front row seat to a disaster. In his mind, Skylar had already lost. Charlie ignored him and turned to Skylar, whispering, Hey, don't get it in your head. Just stick to the plan. You've got this. Skylar nodded, her expression turning desperate. My coach is gone. I don't have one now. If I win this, there are still more fights. Would you be my coach? Of course, Charlie said, without missing a beat. From now on, I'm your coach. Skylar's face lit up. Awesome! I'll call you Coach Wade from now on. Charlie just smiled. Call me whatever you want. Just then, the bell rang for the third round. Skylar got to her feet, shaking out her arms and legs. She looked at Charlie, her gaze steeling with determination. Coach Wade, I'm going in. Charlie nodded. Go for it. Across the ring, the Mexican fighter stepped toward the center, a relaxed, almost smug look on her face. She'd already scored plenty of points on Skylar in the first 2 rounds. As long as she played it safe for the next 3, she was confident she'd coast to victory and into the quarterfinals. But Skylar was only focused on one thing, Charlie's strategy. She knew exactly what she had to do. At the referee's signal, the third round officially began. Confident that her game plan from the first 2 rounds was working perfectly, the Mexican fighter decided to stick with it. The moment the round began, she came out swinging, launching another fierce assault on Skylar's lower body. Skylar forgot about attacking high. She focused everything on defending her legs, her eyes scanning, searching for a single flaw in her opponent's offense. It was a fundamental principle of MMA. The more aggressive the attack, the more exposed the defense. Like a sprinter at full tilt, the faster you move forward, the easier it is to get knocked off balance. And that's when Skylar saw it. As her opponent unleashed a flurry of kicks, one after another, she left herself wide open. There it was. The coach on the sidelines scoffed. All he saw was Skylar on the defensive, getting pushed back again and again. In his book, her tactics were just plain awful. The opponent's kicks were lightning fast, but her upper body game was weak. The textbook strategy was to attack that weakness, go high, try to outbox her, find an opening, and turn the tables in a single move. That was the conventional wisdom of most coaches. It was also the exact reason most of them never became top tier, and why they were never top tier fighters themselves. But Charlie saw it differently. Whether in a war or a one-on-one fight, the surest way to win wasn't to exploit a weakness, it was to shatter their biggest weapon. It's like in battle. You take out their elite unit, you don't just weaken them, you throw their entire army into chaos. But if you just pick off their weaker soldiers, you won't get a decisive victory, and you'll probably just draw the attention of their main force. It was the same in MMA. If an opponent's strength is their fists, you shut down their hands. If it's their legs, you take away their legs. Simple as that. Anything else leaves their most powerful weapon in play, and that's the one threat you can't afford to face. Skylar's opponent was a kicker, and her right leg was lethal. Even if Skylar went high and landed a few punches, it wouldn't do a damn thing to diminish the other girl's offensive power. But if Skylar got caught with just one of those kicks during the exchange, the fight could be over in a flash. That's why Charlie had told Skylar to be patient, to watch, and to find an opening in her opponent's kicking game. And when the moment came, Skylar didn't disappoint. As her opponent launched a vicious roundhouse kick, Skylar suddenly ducked under it and stomped down, hard, slamming her foot onto the back of the other fighter's supporting calf. A scream ripped from the Mexican fighter's throat. A sharp, searing pain shot up her right leg, the bone feeling like it was about to splinter. She was suddenly so unsteady she could barely stand, let alone think about another attack. She stumbled back a few steps, her face a mask of pure shock. She couldn't process it. Her kicks were her greatest strength, and Skylar had just dared to meet her there and break her. All this time, her opponent had been pressing forward, thinking she had Skylar on the ropes and was just waiting for the opening to land a knockout blow. She never imagined that Skylar was the one hunting, patiently waiting for the perfect moment to strike. That one stomp had crippled her. She could barely put weight on the leg, and every attempted step sent a fresh wave of agony through her. In an instant, her fighting ability had evaporated. The mostly American crowd, seeing Skylar finally turn the tables, exploded into a massive cheer. Charlie watched her with a nod of approval. The girl was a natural. She had seen the opening the second her opponent exposed it and seized it without hesitation. Now the entire dynamic in the ring had shifted. With her right leg compromised, the Mexican fighter was no longer a match for Skylar. That single, perfectly timed counter had just paved the way for victory. The other coach's face went slack with shock. He'd never expected Skylar to turn the tables on his fighter so brutally. The force of that stomp was vicious. He could tell the injury was serious. From his perspective, the match was already over. The rest was just a formality. A sharp regret hit him. He turned his back on Skylar just as she was about to advance to the quarterfinals. Now, any glory she earned in this tournament would have nothing to do with him. At that moment, Skylar flipped the script. Instead of defending and retreating, she went on the offensive, unleashing a relentless flurry of attacks. Her opponent's right leg was already injured, putting her at a huge disadvantage. Now, with Skylar hunting her down, every backward step sent a sharp, stabbing pain shooting up her leg. Her right leg couldn't keep up anymore. It was just dead weight. Defending, dodging, let alone thinking about a counterattack was out of the question. Most of Skylar's relentless attacks connected. The Mexican fighter, who'd been the aggressor just moments ago, could do nothing but cover her head and scramble backward. Skylar, meanwhile, remembered Charlie's instructions. Her eyes stayed locked on her opponent's lower body, searching for the opening to land a final, decisive blow. Soon, she saw it. As her opponent stumbled back, Skylar threw a precise whip kick that connected squarely with the injured right leg. A scream tore from the other fighter's throat. Her face went deathly pale, a cold sweat breaking out across her forehead and cheeks. Skylar hadn't used her full power in that kick. If she had, her opponent's calf would have shattered. She'd held back on purpose, wanting to give the other fighter a way out. This was a match. She had no desire to permanently injure someone. For an MMA fighter, their arms and legs are their livelihood. A broken leg could be a career ender. Even if it healed, a fighter would never return to their previous level of competition. Their strength would be permanently compromised. The Mexican fighter knew Skylar had gone easy on her with that last kick, and a surprising wave of gratitude washed over her. She'd practiced Krav Maga for years and took immense pride in her right leg. If Skylar had destroyed it today, her days in the ring would be over. She was only in her 20s. She wasn't ready for her career to end just like that. With that thought, she took 2 steps back and gave Skylar a respectful nod. She then said something in Spanish to her coach, who immediately threw in the towel. The moment the referee saw the signal, he jumped into the ring, separating the 2 fighters. He raised Skylar's arm and announced, "The fighter from Mexico has conceded. The winner of the match is USA's Skylar Knox." Skylar leaped into the air, pure excitement coursing through her. She instinctively scanned the crowd, her eyes searching for Charlie. When she found him, she gave him a look overflowing with adoration. In her heart, the respect she had for him skyrocketed. Christian and Stephen were just as ecstatic, jumping to their feet and applauding wildly. Only the coach looked on, a miserable expression souring his face as he watched Skylar celebrate. His mind was already racing, trying to figure out how to get back into her good graces. This tournament was Skylar's chance to become a star, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And he had just watched her hand that golden ticket over to someone else. Damn it. With Skylar's victory, she had officially advanced to the quarterfinals of the MMA Championship. This was her best result in the competition, ever. The year before, she'd flown all the way out to Norway only to wash out before she even made it to the group stage, finishing 30th overall. This time was a massive breakthrough for her. After the ref announced her win, she shook hands with her opponent from Mexico, and the 2 shared a quick hug. A second later, Skylar turned and made a beeline for Charlie. The moment she reached him, she launched herself into his arms. "Thank you so much," Skylar cried out, throwing her arms around his neck and clinging to him like a koala, absolutely ecstatic. Her hug caught Charlie off guard, but he could feel the pure joy buzzing off her. Not wanting to kill her vibe, he hugged her back, spinning her around a couple of times. He grinned. "You're this excited just making it to the quarterfinals. What are you going to do if you win the whole thing? Lose your mind?" Still hanging onto his neck, Skylar's cheeks flushed. "I never actually expected to win the championship. I'm just so happy I made it to the top 8. Charlie smirked. That's not what I remember you saying earlier. I could have sworn you were confident you'd get a good ranking. Skylar looked sheepish. I didn't want you to be disappointed in me, so I was trying to talk a big game. Honestly, getting a medal wasn't even on my radar. Okay, Charlie nodded, smiling. All right, you can hop down now. People are watching, you know. Plus, your dad and brother are right over there. Skylar realized she was still wrapped around him. For a split second, Charlie couldn't help but feel a little flustered. Skylar had an incredible figure, and with her only wearing a sports bra and compression shorts, he was hyper aware of how close they were. Her face went bright red as she quickly scrambled off of him. A short distance away, Christian was beaming as he watched his daughter. He had been hoping she would make some real progress with Mr. Wade, and today it looked like they'd finally had a breakthrough. Seeing it was more rewarding than the win itself. In fact, he was happier about this than his daughter winning the match. Charlie then said to Skylar, "You should go say hi to your dad and brother. Come on, let's head over." It was only then that Skylar remembered she'd been so caught up celebrating with Charlie that she had completely forgotten her dad and younger brother were in the stands. A fresh wave of embarrassment washed over her. God, that was so embarrassing, she thought. All I could think about was Mr. Wade. I can't believe I just blew off my own dad and brother. So she hurried over to Christian and Steven with Charlie in tow, her face still flushed as she asked, "Dad, Steven, so, what'd you think?" Steven shot her a thumbs up. "Skylar, that comeback was insane. Seriously, after those first 2 rounds, I thought you were toast," Christian added with a relieved chuckle. "He's right. Your old man was sweating bullets over here." Skylar flushed a little. It was all Mr. Wade's advice. I honestly think I would have lost without it. With that, she looped her arm through Charlie's affectionately. "And I want Mr. Wade to be my coach from now on." "What?" Christian's smile vanished. "Skylar, you can't be serious. He has incredibly important things to deal with. How can he spend his time on a college tournament? What if this gets in the way of his real business? Can you take responsibility for that?" Stung by her father's scolding, Skylar pouted, her feelings hurt. She worried that maybe she had overstepped, and asking Charlie to be her coach really would interfere with his important work. Just then, Charlie said with a casual smile, "Actually, I don't have much going on right now. Besides, what Skylar is doing isn't just some kid's game. She's trying to bring honor to the country. I hope she can win us a championship." Christian finally let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. He beamed. "Skylar, did you hear that? Since Mr. Wade has this much faith in you, you have to train your heart out and get ready for the upcoming matches. You have to live up to his trust in you." "I definitely will." Skylar clenched her fists, her eyes shining with excitement. "I'm going to give it my all in the next few matches and fight for the best result I can." Charlie smiled. "You need to aim higher than that. As I see it, to make all this worthwhile, you need to bring home the championship." Skylar quickly replied, "Mr. Wade, the number 1, 2, and 3 seeds in this competition are all incredibly strong, especially the top seed, Adeline from Canada. She's the personal protege of the top Canadian master, Kenneth Adams. He calls her a once-in-a-generation talent, and she's already won 2 MMA championships. She's going for a 3-peat this time." Charlie just smiled. "It doesn't matter if she's Kenneth Adams' protege or anyone else's. Don't worry. With me in your corner, she won't be a match for you." "Really?" Skylar knew about Charlie's unique abilities and understood he never made a promise he couldn't keep. She asked excitedly, "Can I really beat Adeline?" Charlie nodded and smiled. "Don't worry. I said you can, so you will." "That's amazing!" Skylar cheered, practically bouncing with excitement. Just then, her former coach stepped forward, a wide smile plastered on his face. "Well, Skylar, congratulations are in order. Making it to the top 8 is unheard of. You've just tied the best record any American college student has ever had in this tournament. If you can win your next match and break into the top 4, you'll set a whole new record for American college students." Skylar figured that even though they had just parted ways, she couldn't just blow him off while he was congratulating her. So she said humbly, "Thank you, Coach. I'll keep working hard for my next match." The coach's smile widened. "That last match was a nail-biter," he said. "You won, but it was mostly luck. If you want to win the next one, you can't rely on luck. You need systematic training and professional guidance. Why don't you let me take over coaching for the rest of the tournament?" Hearing this, Charlie just watched with a faint, knowing smile, saying nothing. Skylar, however, immediately shook her head. "I'm sorry, Coach, but I have a new coach now." "Him?" The coach sized up Charlie with a look. "This guy's not a professional. It was a lucky break, that's all. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. If you stick with him, you're just throwing away your next match. Sure, you made it to the top 8, but you'll never get any further than that." "You have no idea what you're talking about," Skylar shot back, her voice laced with fury. "He is the best coach in the world. Nobody even comes close, especially not you." To Skylar, Charlie was on the same level as her own father, Christian. The coach, of course, had no idea. He just figured Charlie got lucky, and the naive girl was falling for his whole act. He snorted. "Skylar, don't let this kid fool you," he said. "He's all talk, zero substance. You let him coach you, and you'll lose every single fight from here on out. Guaranteed." Skylar's head snapped up. "Don't you dare talk about him like that," she shot back, her voice tight with anger. "His skills are on a level you can't even comprehend. If he hadn't given me that advice today, if I had actually listened to your game plan, I would have lost. I wouldn't be moving on to the quarterfinals, and my shot at the title would be gone." The coach was stunned by her defiance, and his shock quickly turned to fury. Not only had she talked back, but she'd just trashed his strategy in favor of some kid named Wade. It was a direct slap in the face. For a guy with an ego that big, admitting Charlie was better was impossible. Even after Skylar had just used the kid's strategy to beat the Mexican fighter, he told himself that if she'd just stuck to his plan, she would have won anyway, and probably with a cleaner, easier finish. So, he said in a condescending tone, "Skylar, I'm giving you a golden opportunity here, and you're throwing it in the trash. You really don't know what's good for you. Pros all over Oris Hill are begging me to be their coach. I picked you. That's how lucky you are. You walk away from me, and your career is over. You'll never make any real progress without me. You want to be a national champion? Forget about it. Without my guidance, that's just a pipe dream." Christian couldn't believe the man's audacity. "Coach, you've got a hell of a nerve," he said, his voice dangerously low. "You really think my daughter is lucky to have you? Let me make something clear. My daughter getting guidance from Master Wade, that's lucky. You're nothing." Because Skylar was so low-key, very few people knew about her family, let alone that she was Christian Knox's daughter. Christian himself had always kept a low profile, avoiding the flashiness of Oris Hill's other elites. So while many people had heard of him, almost no one knew him by sight. The coach had been training Skylar for over a year and had never even met her father. He had no clue about her family's wealth, assuming she was from some ordinary background, probably pinning all her hopes on an MMA career to get ahead. In his mind, he held all the cards. But he never imagined her father would treat him with such open contempt, calling him nothing to his face. It was unthinkable. He stared back, his voice turning to ice. "I have connections in this city and all across the country's MMA circuit. If I want to blackball a fighter, all it takes is one phone call. So I suggest you think very carefully before you speak to me again. Are we clear?" Christian's voice was ice. "You're just an MMA coach. Who the hell do you think you're talking to? I may not be a top-tier fighter, but I'm not someone you mess with. You really think you can talk to me like that and just walk away?" "Christian Knox?" the coach stammered, his face going pale. "As in the Christian Knox? Head of the Knox family?" Christian's expression was pure ice. "That's me. You got a problem with that?" "No, of course not." The coach backpedaled so fast he almost tripped. A nervous smile plastered on his face. "Wow, I really stuck my foot in it, huh? I had no idea you were Skylar's father. Sir, I've heard so much about you. The MMA gym at Oris Hill University, that was your donation, right?" Christian looked at him like he was something he'd scraped off his shoe. "You're done coaching Skylar. We have nothing more to talk about. Get out." The coach's face burned with humiliation. "Are you kidding me?" he thought, his hands clenching into fists. He'd just tried to play the tough guy in front of the legendary Christian Knox. And worse, he'd just lost the chance to coach Skylar. This was a disaster. If he'd coached Skylar to a major victory, a man like Christian would have rewarded him handsomely. Everyone knew Christian Knox threw money around like it was nothing. Just look at the MMA gym at Oris Hill University. A top-of-the-line gym in the States would cost $10 million, tops. But Knox dropped $27 million on it, building a world-class facility. The coach had always known the man was loaded, but he'd never connected him to Skylar. It all clicked into place now. Christian Knox had dropped a fortune just so his daughter could have a decent place to train. So what would he give the guy who helped her win a championship? A bonus of a few million? More? The thought sent a jolt of desperation through him. He had to fix this. "Mr. Knox," he said, trying to sound as sincere as possible. "Look, Skylar is an incredible talent, a real natural. But what she needs right now is a professional coach to build a systematic training plan and guide her in the ring." He shot a dismissive glare at Charlie. "Mr. Knox, a kid like that, he's an armchair quarterback. He can't have any real-world experience. If you leave Skylar with him, you're just kneecapping her potential. A fighter with her raw talent belongs with a pro like me. I'm the one who can take her to the next level." Hearing Charlie disrespected again was the last straw for Christian. His voice dropped, low and dangerous. "Coach, you taught my daughter for a year, so I'm giving you some leeway. But if one more disrespectful word about Mr. Wade comes out of your mouth, you're going to regret it. Don't say I didn't warn you." The coach was fuming. What kind of stuff was this guy drinking? How could he trust some nobody kid over a professional? But he could see it in Knox's eyes. If he kept arguing, he was done for. He knew talk was useless. He had to prove his worth. He puffed out his chest and said sternly to Christian, "Mr. Knox, MMA isn't about talking. It's about what you can do with your hands. Some people talk a big game, but when it's time to throw down, they're nothing but hot air. You can't let a con artist fool you." With that, he shot Charlie a venomous glare, then lunged, throwing a lightning-fast punch straight at Charlie's face. His plan was simple. Prove his own strength by demolishing this nobody Wade. It was the only way to get Skylar back. It was the only way to get in with the Knox family and all their money. The coach's face was twisted with contempt as he swung at Charlie. He threw every ounce of his strength into the punch, convinced he was about to lay Charlie out cold right there in front of everyone. To be fair, the coach wasn't some pushover. He'd won the National MMA Championship after all. An average person wouldn't stand a chance. The punch was a blur of speed and power, so fast that even Skylar Knox, with her years of MMA training, couldn't have reacted, let alone Christian and Steven. But what looked like a blur to everyone else was just slow motion to Charlie. The speed the coach was so proud of meant nothing, and the power, it felt like a joke. Charlie could have just stood there, taken the hit, and it wouldn't have even left a bruise. But Charlie wasn't about to let a punk like that even touch him. So just as the coach's fist was about to connect, Charlie shot his own out to meet it. Charlie's punch was a blur, a cannonball the coach never even saw coming. The coach thought he had him. Then his fist slammed into something that felt like solid iron. A sickening crack echoed through the room, and a white-hot agony shot up his arm. The sound of his own bones shattering was unmistakable. He let out a raw scream, clutching his mangled right hand. Staring at Charlie, his face was a mix of agony and pure disbelief. The impact hadn't just stopped his punch, it had completely crushed his fist. He couldn't wrap his head around it. How could this kid have such terrifying, inhuman strength? That kind of power, it shouldn't be possible. Charlie just looked at him with contempt. A world champions coach? Not with that kind of sloppy technique. You should probably find a new line of work. Save yourself the embarrassment. Hatred burned in the coach's eyes, but he didn't dare say another word. He just scrambled away in total humiliation. A smile broke across Skylar's face. "Master," she said, her voice full of excitement. "You're my coach now. When can we start?" Charlie returned her smile. "So, when's your next fight?" Skylar answered immediately. "Day after tomorrow, in the afternoon." "Who are you up against?" Charlie asked. Skylar's expression turned serious. "Well, I'm the qualifier from Group 5, she said, her voice tight with nerves. "The rules say I go up against the qualifier from Group 6. The thing is, the number 3 seed for the whole tournament is in Group 6, so I'm fighting her next." "Who's the number 3 seed?" Charlie asked. "Eliana from Brazil," Skylar said, the name coming out in a rush. "Whew, she's the number 3 seed. Oh my God, there's just no way I can beat her." Charlie smiled. "The fight hasn't even started. How can you already count yourself out?" "I think you can definitely take her." Skylar looked a little embarrassed. "Master, I'm pretty realistic about my own abilities. This opponent is no joke. She's one of the top young MMA fighters out of Brazil, and honestly, she's on a whole other level." Charlie smiled and leaned in. "Don't forget about that little something I gave you. Look, you're in incredible shape, but there's still a gap between you and the true masters. If you take that medicine, your physical strength, your reaction time, it'll all get a massive upgrade. Your overall power will shoot through the roof. Beating this Eliana, it'll be a walk in the park." Skylar's mind flashed to the special medicine Charlie had given her. She had originally gone to him to ask for something for her father, and she would have been thrilled just to get a single dose. She never expected him to give her 2. After giving one to her dad, she'd held on to the other one. But she had tucked that little miracle away for safekeeping and had never even considered taking it. Mostly that was because she had no idea it could also be used to strengthen her body. Back then, she just assumed it was a powerful healing remedy for after an injury, so she'd saved it for an emergency. Skylar stared at him in surprise. "Are you saying that medicine can actually make me stronger?" "Of course," Charlie nodded. "It can improve your physical fitness across the board, even though your body is already in peak condition. To be blunt, there's still a genetic gap compared to some athletes. That's a hard thing to overcome. It's like how some people are just born sprinters, you know? Their bodies are naturally more explosive than everyone else's." He continued. "But if you take the medicine I gave you, you can fundamentally level up your physical functions. even push your body beyond those so-called natural advantages. Skylar was quick to ask, if I take it, will it show up on a doping test? The tests for these competitions are really strict. If they find any performance-enhancing drugs, you get disqualified. You could even get a lifetime ban. Charlie smirked. Don't worry. My medicine comes from a unique formula with all natural ingredients. It has zero connection to the kind of synthetic stimulants they test for. It won't cause any problems. Skylar's face lit up with excitement. Then I'll take it as soon as I get home today. Charlie nodded. I'll come by for your match tomorrow afternoon. Awesome, Skylar cheered, practically bouncing on her feet. Christian, who was standing nearby, chimed in respectfully. It's almost noon. Would you do us the honor of staying for lunch? We can whip up some pasta. Just a simple home-cooked meal. Charlie was about to decline, but then he considered it. If Skylar was going to take the medicine this afternoon, he could stick around and make sure she was okay. Maybe even help guide her body's absorption of it. Besides, Claire had been working overtime at her company lately and wasn't usually home for lunch. His father-in-law was busy at the senior center where Zoe took classes, so he definitely wouldn't be back either. And his mother-in-law, Elaine, was the only one home, so it's not like he needed to rush back to cook for her. He nodded. In that case, I'd be happy to. And I can stay this afternoon to help Skylar with the medicine. The moment Charlie agreed to stay for lunch, Christian and Skylar's faces lit up. Charlie had never been a guest at their home before, and they were both looking forward to it, hoping it would be a chance to get closer to him. This was especially true for little Pepper Skylar. She'd been nursing a serious crush on Charlie for a while now, and had been desperate for a chance to get closer to him. Today felt like the perfect opportunity. Skylar's face lit up when she heard Charlie was staying for lunch. Just give me a minute, she said, already heading for the lounge. I'm just gonna grab a quick shower. I'll be fast. Charlie nodded with a smile. No rush. Go on, get ready. Christian stepped forward. It's pretty chaotic in here. Why don't we wait in the car? I've got an RV on the way. Charlie gave a slight smile. All right, I'll wait in the car then. Stephen gestured immediately. This way, master. As Charlie left the stadium with Christian and Stephen, Skylar's former coach was on the move. His face was a mask of fury, his right fist, freshly crushed by Charlie, throbbing with pain. He stormed up to one of the athletes' lounges. A Canadian flag hung at the entrance with a sign that read, Adeline, Team Canada. The coach hesitated for a beat, then knocked. A young man cracked the door open, eyeing him suspiciously. Yeah? Who are you? The coach plastered on a pained smile. Hey, I'm looking for Adeline and her coach, Kenneth Adams. The young man turned his head and called back into the room. Mr. Adams, Adeline, this guy's here to see you. Kenneth Adams scowled from across the room. Who the hell are you? Do I know you? The coach gave a deferential nod. Mr. Adams, I'm an MMA coach. We actually fought about 10 years back. MMA championships, Team USA. You beat me, of course. Ring any bells? Kenneth sneered. I've beaten more guys than I can count. How the hell am I supposed to remember every single one? The coach's smile faltered. Right. Well, Mr. Adams, I'm here about Skylar Knox, the girl from the US team. I'm her coach. Well, I was her coach. I just resigned. Kenneth frowned. Skylar Knox? Never heard of her. She's not one of the top 5 seeds, is she? The coach shook his head quickly. No, she's never been a seeded player. No reason you would have noticed her. Kenneth's eyes narrowed. Then what do you want? The coach leaned in, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. I'm here to give you a warning. Skylar found a new coach, and this guy is dangerous, vicious. If Adeline draws her in a later round, you need to watch out for him. Kenneth let out a dismissive scoff. And you think I should be worried? I'm Kenneth Adams. I'm one of the best fighters this country has ever produced. The student I trained is already a world-class athlete. Adeline's skills are on another level. Forget these college kids. She could go up against current Olympians and have a real shot at the title. I'll be blunt. This competition is just a warm-up for her. The real goal is the next Olympics. We're coming for the gold. The coach nodded, playing the part of the deferential admirer. I know, Mr. Adams, I know. You're a legend, and any student you train is guaranteed to be a killer. But this kid I'm telling you about, he's the real deal. Just look at my hand. He thrust his right hand forward. Kenneth's arrogant smirk froze on his face as he stared at the mangled mess of flesh and bone. He asked, That's a fresh injury. The blood hasn't even clotted. Did this just happen? In the last half hour? Yes, the coach said. Look, the kid I told you about did this to me. He completely shattered my right hand with just his fist. Not even you could do that, could you, Mr. Adams? The coach's words made Kenneth Adams's expression turn serious. As a martial artist, he knew the human body had its limits and how surprisingly fragile they were. A person's fist is just flesh and bone. You can punch someone in the stomach or the face, the soft parts, and not get hurt. But punching another person's fist? That's a direct head-on collision. Who in the world has a fist so strong it can shatter another man's hand with a single punch? Thinking about this, he quickly asked, "The young man who did this to you, was he injured at all?" The coach said angrily, "Not a scratch on him. That's the weirdest part. It's like his body is made of steel. I'm worried he's got some kind of heirloom fighting style. If he teaches that to Skylar Knox, I'm telling you, Miss Adeline is going to have a hell of a time winning this competition." Kenneth Adams finally took the threat seriously. He nodded, his face grim. "Skylar Knox, you said. I'll remember the name." Then he looked at the coach. "Why are you helping us?" The coach rushed to explain. "Mr. Adams, that kid stole my job and destroyed my right hand. I hate his guts. He was also running his mouth, bragging that he was good enough to make Skylar Knox the champion. He even said that Miss Adeline is no match for her at all. That's why I sincerely hope Miss Adeline beats Skylar and proves that bastard wrong." Kenneth Adams nodded. "All right, I get it. I'll look into it. We won't let that happen. You can go now." The coach nodded, bowed his head slightly, and said, "Thank you, Mr. Adams. I'll be on my way." Just then, the young woman in the room, dressed in a long-sleeved tracksuit, spoke up, her voice surprisingly gentle. "Howard, please give the gentleman a check for $100,000. Thank him for bringing us such important information." This young woman was incredibly beautiful, with a sleek bob and bangs. At first glance, you would think she was the picture of some quiet, elegant beauty. You'd never guess she was also a master of MMA and combat. The young man who had opened the door for the coach immediately nodded respectfully. "Yes, Miss Gibbs." He then took a checkbook from his pocket, wrote out a check for $100,000, and handed it to the coach. "This is a small token of Our Lady's appreciation. Please accept it." The coach had come to find Kenneth and Adeline simply to stir up trouble for Skylar and Charlie. His only goal was to make sure Skylar didn't stand a chance of winning the championship. He was there to sabotage them, pure and simple. But he never expected Adeline to be so generous. A check for $100,000, just like that. He was completely floored. He took the check, bowing and thanking her repeatedly, then walked out of Adeline's locker room feeling utterly satisfied. After the coach left, Adeline walked up to Kenneth. "Master," she began, "I know that coach isn't in your league, but he's a decent mid-level MMA fighter. The guy he mentioned, the one who took him apart without getting a single scratch, he must be on another level." Kenneth gave her a curious look. "Adeline, how'd you know the coach's skill level?" A small smile touched Adeline's lips. "I've watched every single one of your fights, studied them inside and out. I saw the tape of your match with that coach from back in the day. I'd put his strength at about 70% of yours." "Exactly," Kenneth sighed, his voice full of pride. "Adeline, this is why I took you under my wing. You're a quick study with an incredible work ethic. Coming from your family, you don't need to be pushing yourself this hard just to climb the ranks. The Gibbs family name is enough to make you one of the most envied trust fund kids in all of Canada. But you chose this. You humbled yourself and poured everything you have into martial arts. I've never seen anything like it. I believe in time, you'll even surpass me. You'll become the kind of champion the whole country will be proud of." Adeline's expression was modest. "You give me too much credit, Master. I just want to do my best and push myself to the absolute limit. I don't want to disappoint you or let my family down." Kenneth nodded. "We're all counting on you to bring glory to this country." He let out another emotional sigh. "I've always believed you could be the pride of Canada, and I still do." Adeline nodded, her gaze earnest. "Don't worry, Master. I'll give it my all." Kenneth grunted. Good. Now I'm going to check out this Skylar Knox and her coach." Meanwhile, Skylar had changed into street clothes and was walking out of the gym, her training bag slung over her shoulder. Charlie was already settled in the Knox family's spacious and luxurious RV, sipping an artisanal pour over coffee Stephen had made for him. Christian Knox's RV was really something else. From the outside, it looked like a regular coach bus, completely unassuming. But the moment Charlie stepped inside, he realized it was a different world. Aside from the driver's cabin, the entire interior had been gutted and completely customized. It didn't just have a sprawling, luxurious living room and a lavish lounge and bar. It also featured 2 incredibly comfortable bedrooms and a full bathroom with a shower. Christian had explained that he'd bought the RV specifically for his daughter's competitions. Skylar was constantly traveling all over the country to compete, and the grind of cars, trains, and planes was always exhausting. An athlete's physical condition is everything, and he refused to let a grueling travel schedule affect his daughter's performance. So he bought this RV to take her from one end of the country to the other. In Christian's own words, riding in the RV was comfortable, stable, and safer, like a home on wheels. You could drive for 10, even 20 hours and not feel the least bit tired. It ensured his daughter was always in peak condition for every competition. Stephen waited until Charlie finished his herbal tea before quickly and respectfully refilling the cup. "So, Master," he asked, his tone earnest, "how is it?" Charlie smiled and nodded. "It's good, Stephen. You've really done your homework, haven't you? I have to admit, I never pictured you having the patience for something like this. The Stephen he remembered was a spoiled, clueless rich kid. Worse than clueless, he'd put on airs, buying up junk from the vintage market and acting like it was priceless treasure. The kid had even made a total fool of himself.
Summer is here, and Kroger is your destination for hot savings. Find unique items at low prices with our exclusive brands. Fire up the grill with cookout classics like burgers, and don't forget delicious produce like fresh melons. Or treat yourself to summer's sweetest lineup with Kroger Brand's limited edition All-American Ice Cream Collection. Whatever your summer plans, Kroger makes it easy to enjoy high-quality food at affordable prices. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
At that huge auction in Oris Hill. But after not seeing him for a while, it was clear the kid had actually mellowed out and gotten his act together. Stephen blushed at the praise. "I was young and stupid back then. I'm sorry for the way I acted, and I hope you won't hold it against me. My second uncle basically put me on house arrest to think things over. He had me study tea to, build some character. I'm not as reckless as I was." Charlie nodded. Impulsiveness and losing your way are two of the biggest traps in life. The fact that you've learned to slow down and reflect proves you're not a lost cause. Christian chimed in with a grin. "I told this kid a long time ago, if he didn't get his act together, his father and I were ready to lock him in the house for 10 years, just to keep him from embarrassing the family. Lucky for him, he's got enough sense to know when to pull back." Just then, Skylar bounced into the RV. Spotting her father and brother having tea with Charlie, she smiled brightly. "Mr. Wade! Dad! Stephen! Have you guys been waiting long? We should get moving." Christian gestured to Skylar, laughing as he spoke to Charlie. "See, Master? When this one shows up, her own father suddenly becomes chopped liver." Skylar's cheeks flushed. "Oh, Dad, stop. It's not like that. He is our guest of honor. It's only polite to greet him first." Christian just smiled. "Look at you, getting so defensive. I'm just messing with you." "I'm not being defensive," Skylar muttered. "You're just being ridiculous." Christian chuckled, clearly pleased with himself. "All right, your old man's being ridiculous. Go on, sit next to the Master. Let's get this show on the road. We're headed home for dinner." A fresh blush coloring her cheeks, Skylar quickly sat down next to Charlie. At that moment, the driver started the RV slowly pulling out of the stadium parking lot. The Knox family's villa wasn't in the city center, but on the outskirts, nestled beside the massive Oris Hill Reservoir. While the reservoir supplied water to the entire city, its sheer size made this exclusive community feel like it was built around a vast private lake. The environment was incredible, a world away from any of the villa developments crammed into the city. Christian had bought the property years ago with incredible foresight, long before the city restricted renovations in the area. He'd scooped up 2 adjacent villas and had them legally combined, creating one enormous estate. Better yet, his property sat right on the shoreline. Waking up here meant opening your doors to a glittering expanse of water, lush greenery, and the sound of birdsong. It was an experience beyond compare. The courtyard of the Knox family's villa was so immense you could have easily parked 7 or 8 RVs just like theirs without breaking a sweat. As soon as the RV came to a stop in the driveway, Skylar turned to Charlie, practically buzzing with excitement. "You have to see the dock! I have a speedboat! We can take it for a spin!" Charlie was a little surprised Skylar Knox even had a speedboat out here. Seeing her excitement, he smiled. "All right, I'm in. But how's your driving? You're not planning on tossing me into the lake, are you?" Skylar blushed. "Of course not. I'm a great driver, don't worry. And hey, even if you did fall in, I'd be there to save you." "Hey sis, take me with you," Stephen chimed in suddenly. "I want to go." Stephen was actually Skylar's cousin, so he only ever visited the villa as a guest. But hearing about a boat ride, he was dying to tag along. Skylar shot him a glare. "Get lost, Stephen. Why do you always have to butt in?" Stephen's face fell, and he pouted, about to argue. But Christian, who was standing nearby, stepped in. "Stephen, come with me. I need a word with you." Hearing his uncle's tone, Stephen didn't dare protest. He just nodded meekly. "Okay, Uncle." Meanwhile, Skylar slipped her arm through Charlie's. "Let's go enjoy the view. It'll be time to eat soon enough." Charlie nodded, and they walked down to the lake together. At the same time, Christian pulled Stephen aside and whispered, "Kid, you've been on your best behavior lately. Why are you being so dense right now?" Stephen looked genuinely hurt. "Uncle, what did I do wrong?" I thought I was being good. Christian hissed back. Can't you see I'm trying to set your cousin up with the master? And you have to jump in and play third wheel? Don't you get that this is a huge opportunity for her? Stephen hesitated for a beat, then whispered, But uncle, he is married. Christian scoffed. So what? Marriage isn't permanent. People get divorced. As soon as he splits with his wife and marries your cousin, he'll officially be the son-in-law of the Knox family. You see? Stephen looked stunned for a moment, then gave a reluctant nod. Okay, uncle. You're right. He thought about it for a second, a hopeful grin spreading across his face. So, you're saying if Mr. Wade becomes my future brother-in-law, I'd be untouchable? Who in all of Aris Hill would dare mess with me then? Christian gave him a faint smile. If the master becomes your brother-in-law, forget Aris Hill. No one in the entire country would dare to mess with you. Stephen got so excited he clapped his hands together. Whoa, that's awesome! Skylar led Charlie to a small dock by the lake. A small steel dock jutted out over the water, and tied to it was a sleek imported speedboat. It was a 6-seater, so it wasn't massive, but the stern was loaded with 4 huge 400-horsepower Aurora Motors marine engines. Charlie was taken aback. A boat this size would be fast with a single 200-horsepower engine, he blurted out. This thing has 4 400-horsepower engines strapped to it. What are you planning to do, fly? Skylar stuck her tongue out playfully and smiled. Well, this is a private reservoir, so there are never any other boats out here. It's the perfect place to just let loose and have some fun. She hopped into the speedboat, her voice buzzing with excitement. When I was on vacation overseas, I saw how crazy people get for super-powered speedboats. Montelli even made a Riva Montelli, and I got to take it for a spin. It was a total thrill, but honestly, it still felt a little underpowered. So I had this one custom built. The power setup is literally double the Montelli's. Charlie couldn't help but smile. All right, I'll admit it, he said. I'm actually a little nervous. Skylar grinned. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. Charlie nodded, stepping onto the speedboat and settling in beside her. The next second, Skylar jabbed the ignition, and the 4 V8 marine engines roared to life. Even at idle, their low rumble vibrated through the hull, a promise of power far beyond any supercar. Skylar eased the speedboat away from the dock. Then she shot Charlie a wicked grin. You might want to hold on tight, master. With that, she slammed the throttle forward. The entire boat lurched, surging with a power that threw them back in their seats as it launched across the water. Charlie had braced himself, but he was still caught off guard by the boat's raw force. The lake was massive, a wide-open expanse with none of the rules of the road. On the water, you could just fly. The entire lake became Skylar's personal playground. She had that kind of personality, a mix of sweet and wild. It was her fiery side, the thrill-seeker in her, that was drawn to extreme sports like this. But Skylar hadn't counted on one thing. Charlie was completely calm, and it was a little disappointing. She'd brought him out here to see him get flustered. Anyone else who'd ever been on her boat was a mix of terrified and thrilled. She figured even if Charlie wasn't scared, he'd at least look a little tense. That would have been enough, a small victory for her prank. But his expression never broke. Even as she pushed the engine to its limit, sending them skimming across the surface so fast it felt like they were flying, the man beside her remained completely unfazed. Truth was, Charlie was a little nervous. He just couldn't let it show, not in front of Skylar. He'd never hear the end of it. Skylar pushed the speed until even she started to feel a knot of unease in her stomach. Finally, she gave up, easing back on the throttle and letting the boat coast to a stop in the middle of the lake. She turned to Charlie, pouting, So, you're telling me you don't get nervous? Or scared? Ever? Charlie just smiled. I get nervous sometimes, but I'm never afraid. Skylar leaned in, her curiosity piqued. Okay, then what makes you nervous? Give me an example. Seriously, I have to know what it takes to rattle you. You seem nervous just thinking about it. Charlie was quiet for a moment. Then a small smile touched his lips. Warnia once gave me a check for $100 million. You knew about that, right? Of course, Skylar said, her smile returning. That was for the medicine you gave us all at Orville's The Mansion, right? Charlie nodded. So, Skylar pressed. $100 million is nothing to you. Why would a check like that make you nervous? Charlie let out a dry laugh. I wasn't nervous about the check itself. I was nervous because I put it in my pocket. And later, I accidentally gave it to my mother-in-law. Skylar looked confused. But why would that make you nervous? I mean, it's not like you need the money. A wry smile crossed Charlie's face. Oh, I don't care about the $100 million. It's the fact that my mother-in-law has it. That's the kind of thing that'll give a man nightmares for a month. Right now, at the Oris Hill International Hotel, after leaving the gymnasium, Adeline Gibbs returned to her hotel suite, her assistant and personal staff in tow. For her visit, the Gibbs family had booked out the hotel's only 2 presidential suites well in advance. Adeline had one to herself, while her coach, assistants, and the rest of her staff occupied the other. A month prior, her family had even flown in a team to convert one of the suite's bedrooms into a private practice room. The renovation alone had supposedly cost millions. Between that and the long-term booking of 2 presidential suites, her stay for the competition was costing a fortune. The lodging alone was projected to run at least $3 or $4 million. The reason for such extravagance was simple. The Gibbs family was obscenely wealthy. As one of Canada's top 5 richest families, their empire spanned nearly every industry imaginable. They were so powerful that even the notorious Costello crime syndicate held a stake in their enterprises. And Adeline herself, though quiet and composed on the surface, young, beautiful, and intelligent, was deep down completely obsessed with martial arts. She was relentless in her training, never missing a session, rain or shine, heat or cold. She'd finished her match that morning, and upon returning to the hotel, she'd skipped lunch and gone straight into her private practice room. She was already drenched in sweat when her phone vibrated. It was her assistant, Howard. She paused her workout to answer. "Howard, what is it?" He answered respectfully. "Miss, a Mr. Sean Kennedy from Sterling Pharma is here. He's the chairman. He's hoping to see you if you have a moment." "Sean Kennedy?" Adeline frowned. "I don't know him, and we're not friends. Why would he want to see me?" Howard quickly explained. "You might not know this, miss, but Sterling Pharma is the title sponsor for the finals. They paid a fortune for it as part of their push into the U.S. market. That's why he's in Oris Hill, and since he heard you were staying here, he wanted to stop by and introduce himself." Adeline's voice was flat. "Tell him I'm training and can't be disturbed." "My apologies." Adeline was a natural introvert and hated socializing, especially with the semifinals just around the corner. The last thing she wanted was a distraction from a total stranger. "Miss," Howard said, his voice laced with urgency, "Mr. Sean just inherited the company. They're making a huge push for global sales of their main product, Sterling Quick Soothe Powder." Her usual calm finally cracked. "Howard, what are you getting at?" she snapped. "I don't know this man, and I couldn't care less about his company. What does any of this have to do with me?" Howard sounded awkward. "Miss, the president has been in talks with Sterling Pharma. He's very optimistic about their future and is considering an investment. Sean is hoping the Gibbs family will back him, which is why he poured so much money into sponsoring this competition. It's all to get on your good side, and by extension, the family's." "Oh," Adeline said, her anger deflating. She knew the president was Howard's formal term for her father, Ronan Gibbs, head of the Gibbs family. But her tone remained cool. "I don't want to get dragged into my father's business dealings," she said. "If father wants to work with this Sean guy, they can meet on their own." Howard's voice was tight. "Miss Gibbs, your father is taking this Sterling Pharma partnership very seriously. Please don't be stubborn." "I'm sorry, Howard," Adeline Gibbs replied coolly. "I have to get back to training." And with that, she hung up. Adeline Gibbs was 22, a senior at Canada's prestigious University of Ottawa. She was a straightforward, no-nonsense kind of person, with a quiet nature that often came off as distant. For 4 years running, she'd been crowned the university's prom queen, making her the most sought-after bride for Canada's wealthiest families. But none of that mattered to her. At her core, she was just a dedicated martial artist, and everything else was just noise. Because of that singular focus, she didn't really get romance or the complex games people played. Guys like Sean Kennedy didn't even register on her radar. Even if a guy was her father's best friend or a crucial business partner, she wouldn't give him the time of day unless he was family. Her goals in life were simple. First, win this year's championship. Then, graduate. After that, she would throw herself into preparing for the next Olympic Games. She was too young for the last Olympics, and on top of that, her studies were too demanding for her to compete. But the next Games had become the stage she dreamed of. She was determined to win an Olympic gold medal, and not just one. Winning that first gold, then defending her title at the following Games, that had become her life's singular ambition. Howard stood there, phone in hand, facing a very expectant Sean. A hot wave of embarrassment washed over him. He couldn't believe how easily she'd dismissed him. He'd laid out exactly how important this was, and she'd still refused to even see the man. Howard had no choice but to lie. "Mr. Kennedy, if you could just wait a moment. Miss Gibbs is still in the middle of training, but she should be free to see you very soon." Sean, dressed in an impeccably tailored suit and glasses, offered a gracious smile. "That's perfectly fine," he said, his tone earnest. "If Miss Gibbs is busy, please, let her finish. I don't mind waiting at all." Howard nodded. "Please, have a seat. Can I get you a cup of herbal tea?" Once in the kitchen, Howard pulled out his cell phone and called the head of the Gibbs family himself, Ronan Gibbs. The call connected almost instantly, and Ronan's deep, powerful voice boomed through the receiver. Howard, what is it? Howard spoke quickly. Mr. Gibbs, Sean Kennedy, the chairman of Sterling Pharma, is here. He's asking to see Miss Adeline. Ronan hummed thoughtfully. I know Sean has a thing for Adeline, he said. He came to me the other day, all but begging for my permission to marry her. Howard asked, and what are your thoughts on that, sir? Ronan Gibbs ignored the question. His voice dropped, turning deadly serious. Howard, you're my confidant, so I'm going to tell you something. But this cannot leave this room. You don't tell a single soul, you understand? Otherwise, I'll personally send you to meet your maker. The moment Howard heard the offer, he practically blurted out, Mr. Gibbs, you have my word. I won't breathe a word of this to anyone. Ronan gave a satisfied nod. Sterling Pharma has an antacid powder that's ridiculously effective, and it's already selling like crazy. They're gearing up for a global launch. I mean, think about it. Who doesn't get an upset stomach? The market is massive. Once that product goes worldwide, you're looking at $10 billion in annual profit. Minimum. Howard was floored. From a stomach medicine? Is the market really that big? And that's a conservative estimate, Ronan said. I had the University of Ottawa's pharmaceutical lab run a full analysis, pitting Sterling's Quick Soothe powder against every other major brand on the market. The results were undeniable. Sterling's is the best, hands down. So, he went on, it's only a matter of time before Quick Soothe owns the global market. And if we want a piece of that action, we need to move fast. The inside track? Marrying into the Kennedy family so we can buy a stake in Sterling Pharma. If Adeline marries their son Sean, I can secure a 20, maybe even 30% stake in the company. We're talking billions in profit for our family. Every single year. A grin spread across Howard's face, his eyes glinting with understanding. Mr. Gibbs, I see the play now. Ronan grunted. Exactly. So while you're in the States with Adeline, I need you to get her on board. Talk up Sean. Plant the seed. If you can get her to agree, they'll be married this summer, right after she graduates. You make this happen for me, Howard, and there's a $5 million bonus in it for you. Howard's heart hammered in his chest. $5 million. He couldn't hide his excitement. Sir, consider it done. I won't let you down. A hint of satisfaction crept into Ronan's voice. Good. I'm about to call Adeline and tell her she's meeting Sean today. After they do, I need you there to back me up. Yes, sir, Howard replied, practically vibrating with eagerness. Meanwhile, Adeline had just set her phone down, ready to dive back into her grueling training session when it buzzed again. Seeing her father's name on the screen, she answered instantly, her voice immediately shifting to a formal, respectful tone. Father, is everything all right? It's unusual for you to call at this time. In the upper echelons of Canadian society, tradition wasn't just a suggestion, it was law. While most kids, even in Canada, called their parents mom and dad just like their American counterparts, for the children of the great old money families, it was strictly father and mother. The formality extended beyond titles. Casual conversation was a luxury reserved for holidays, if at all. For the daughters, the rules of propriety were even more rigid. Adeline's childhood wasn't spent playing, but mastering the exhaustive etiquette of high society. She may have been born with a silver spoon, but it came attached to a long list of unbreakable rules she'd been following to the letter since birth, never once daring to put a single toe out of line. On the other end of the line, Ronan's voice was clipped and professional. Adeline, I heard you won your match today. Congratulations. Father, that was just the quarterfinal, she replied, her tone sharp with ambition. My goal is the championship. Please, save your congratulations for when I actually win. Excellent, Ronan said, his voice warm with approval. That's my girl. Not arrogant, not reckless. You've stayed focused on your goals. Just like a Gibbs. Even over the phone, Adeline found herself sitting up straighter. Thank you, Father, she said respectfully. I'll keep doing my best. Ronan grunted. Speaking of which, Adeline, has Sean Kennedy been trying to get in touch with you? The chairman of Sterling Pharma? Yes, he has. You're not a little girl anymore, Adeline, Ronan said, his tone shifting. You can't just ignore every young man who shows interest. I've met Sean. He's only a couple of years older than you and already making a real name for himself. You should give him a chance. Get to know him. Adeline's reply was quick. Father, I'm just not focused on dating right now. My sights are set on the next Olympics, and then the one after that. A relationship would just be a distraction from my training. I hope you can understand. You're still young, Ronan replied. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Love and marriage don't have to derail your career. They can be a part of it. Adeline's voice was earnest. Father, I hear you, I do. But for me, martial arts is like trying to swim up a river. The second you stop fighting, you get swept backward. To be the best in the world, I have to pour every spare minute into training. If I spend that time on dating, I'll never become a true master. Ronan's voice hardened. This whole fighting thing was supposed to be a hobby, Adeline. Something for fun. I never intended for you to throw your whole life into it. You're the eldest daughter of the Gibbs family. You have a responsibility to act like it. What's the point of all this, getting beaten up in some ring day after day? Adeline stood her ground. Father, martial arts is my passion. It's my life. If I have to choose, I'm willing to give up love and marriage for it. That's ridiculous, Ronan exploded. You are my daughter. The Gibbs family blood runs through your veins. How can you just throw away your duty to our family, to our legacy, for a sport? Do you have any respect for those who came before you? Adeline faltered, a knot of guilt tightening in her stomach at his fury. She scrambled to explain. Father, you're right, I'm sorry. It's not that I've completely sworn off marriage. I just can't think about it right now. Please, just try to understand. No, I don't understand, and I won't, Ronan said, his voice ice cold. But this isn't a conversation for the phone. When you get back from your competition, you and I are going to sit down and have a real talk. But for now, Sean has come all this way to see you. As a Gibbs, you represent this family's name. You can't just hide from him. If word gets out, people will say the Gibbs family has no class. Adeline felt the weight of his words and finally relented. You're right, Father. That was rude of me. Please forgive me, she said, her voice small. I'll go change and see him now. Hearing Adeline agree, Jaden Gibbs's tone softened. Adeline, have you eaten yet? Just got back from the gym, Father, she replied honestly. I was training, so I haven't eaten. Perfect, he said, a satisfied hum in his voice. It's about noon anyway. Why don't you take Sean to lunch? Do your old father a favor. Take him to lunch? Adeline hesitated. She was a private person by nature, and ever since finishing school, she'd made a point of keeping her distance from men outside her family. Years of focusing on martial arts had only reinforced that habit. She'd never even had a private meal with a man her age. Not even her assistant, Howard, had ever eaten alone with her. But she could hear the steel beneath her father's casual tone. Arguing was pointless. Okay, Father, she said. I understand. Good, Jaden said, his satisfaction clear. Listen, Adeline, the family is trying to lock down a major partnership with Sterling Pharma right now. I need you to be on your best behavior with him. You understand? I get it, Father, Adeline replied quickly. Adeline hung up with a helpless sigh and called Howard. Howard, can you keep Mr. Kennedy company for a few minutes? I'm a mess from my workout and need to grab a quick shower. Of course, Howard agreed immediately. He turned to Sean. Mr. Kennedy, if you'll excuse us for just a moment, Miss Gibbs would like to freshen up before she joins you. She won't be long. Sean's heart leaped at the news that Adeline would see him. He smoothed his expression into one of calm composure. Of course. I'll wait for her right here. 10 minutes later, Adeline emerged, fresh from her shower. She'd changed into simple, comfortable loungewear that softened her edges. Gone was any trace of the disciplined martial artist. In her place stood a woman who looked gentle and classically refined. Howard led Sean into Adeline's presidential suite. The moment Sean laid eyes on her, he was thunderstruck. My God, he thought, completely stunned. How can anyone be that beautiful? Her eyes were so clear, so bright, like something sculpted by a divine hand. Her oval face was flawless. Her nose, so perfectly formed it seemed like a priceless artifact. And her lips, delicate and pink like cherry blossoms, they were utterly captivating. To Sean, she was like the impossibly clear water of Crater Lake, nestled high on a snow-capped peak, dignified, serene, and untouchable. In that single instant, Sean knew he was hopelessly in love. He made a silent, ferocious vow. I have to make her my wife. I don't care what it costs. If I have to marry into the Gibbs family, so be it. Because there isn't another woman in the world this perfect. There can't be. Sean was trying his best to mask the raw hunger of his attraction, but Adeline saw it anyway, a flicker of desire in his eyes he couldn't quite snuff out. It made her stomach clench. His stare felt greasy and invasive, like a drop of bacon fat slicking the surface of a cup of herbal tea. But she was too disciplined to let her disgust show, schooling her features into a polite mask. Mr. Kennedy, she said, her voice smooth. My apologies for the wait. Sean waved his hand dismissively. Not at all, Miss Gibbs. Please, don't apologize. I'm the one who dropped in unannounced. If anyone was rude, it was me. It was no trouble at all. Sean let out a frustrated sigh. I'm so sorry, Miss Gibbs. I just flew into Oris Hill this morning, and by the time I cleared customs, I had to come straight here. I didn't even get a chance to see your match today. I heard you took down your opponent in a single round. I'm kicking myself for not being there to see it in person. Adeline replied, You're too kind, Mr. Kennedy. I won't miss another one. From now on, I'll be at every single match, cheering you on. He leaned in slightly. Actually, Sterling Pharma is sponsoring the finals. As it happens, I'll be the one presenting the trophy to the champion. I've got to tell you, I'm really hoping I get to hand that trophy to you. Adeline gave a humble smile. Mr. Kennedy, the tournament's not over yet. It's still anyone's game. As confident as I am, I'd never presume the championship is already mine. Well, I have all the faith in the world in you, Sean said quickly. Adeline smiled, recalling her father's instructions. It's about lunchtime. Would you like to stay and have a meal with me? Sean's heart leaped. He practically beamed. I would be incredibly honored to have lunch with you. Adeline turned to her assistant. Howard, could you arrange for lunch to be served in the dining room, please? And you'll be serving Mr. Kennedy and me. The truth was, despite being the eldest daughter of one of Canada's top families, Adeline had always been fiercely independent. She wasn't like other trust fund kids who needed a team of people waiting on them hand and foot. Normally, she'd never ask Howard to serve her like this. But today was different. She really didn't want to be alone with Sean, so she was keeping Howard by her side as a buffer. Hearing the instruction from his young lady, Howard simply nodded, not questioning it for a second. Sean didn't think twice about it, just assuming Adeline was used to being waited on. After all, he reasoned, even at a restaurant, you have waiters. When they reached the dining room, Adeline took a seat at the opposite end of the long table from Sean. The presidential suite was massive, and the dining room was no exception, spacious and opulent, with a formal dining table that could easily seat 12. The sheer distance between them was enough to make Adeline breathe a little easier. After they were seated, Sean broke the silence. So, Miss Gibbs, how long have you been in town? Adeline nodded. About 20 days. And are you enjoying Oris Hill? It's a beautiful city. Adeline asked quietly. Have you been here before, Mr. Kennedy? Oh, no, this is my first time. Sean sighed, his expression shifting. To be honest, this city and I, we don't have the best history. It holds some pretty painful memories. If you weren't competing here, I can promise you I wouldn't have come back, no matter how beautiful it is. Mr. Kennedy, what do you mean? Adeline asked, her curiosity piqued. Sean put on a somber expression. I had an older brother. Rebellious, you could say. He went so far as to poison our own father. Our family had to clean up its own mess, so we put a contract out on him. He was killed by a bounty hunter right here in Oris Hill a while back. To this day, I don't even know where he's buried.